In this video, we'll take a look at importing MVNX files into Excel. I'll take my MVNX file and drag it into my Excel workspace. I'll get a prompt. I'll go ahead and acknowledge that prompt, hit yes. Go ahead and hit use the XML source task pane, hit OK, and then acknowledge the security warning and hit yes. Now I can see on the right hand side I have a variety of variables that I can pull into my workspace. I have the MVNX version, the MVN version and build, and I also have comments as well. These comments are saved when you go ahead and save the file. You can go ahead and input your own comments. For the section of subjects, I have session information, which includes the label, which is the suit name, the torso color, the frame rate used, the segment count, the recording date, the original file name, and any other comments which I chose to include. The next section contains mesh and scaling data, as well as labeling information for all the segments, which are contained in the label and ID variables. Now, going a little bit further than that, the point defines all of the positions of the connecting joints prefixed with a J and anatomical landmarks prefixed with a P with respect to the origin of that particular segment. In the next section, we have sensor data, which is simply a list of the names of the segments measured with the motion trackers. After that, we have the joints section, which is a list of the names of the joints contained and the segments and connections for a given joint. After that, we also have the frames, which contain the segment count, the sensor count, as well as the joint count. Going a little bit further down, we have each particular frame, and within each particular frame, we have the time, the index, the time code, the milliseconds, type, orientation, position, velocity, acceleration, angular velocity, angular acceleration, sensor angular velocity, sensor magnetic field, sensor orientation, joint angle XCY, center mass, as well as any markers you may have placed while recording. Let's go ahead and take a look at joint angle. Go ahead and pull this in, hit refresh. Now you see I get a string of data here, but it's not quite organized. So what I'll go ahead and do is organize some of that data. We'll go ahead and do text to columns. And now you can see my data is neatly organized, but I still don't have an idea of what this string of numbers really means. So what I'll go ahead and do is take a look at my user manual, and that'll help me better understand what I'm looking at here. So in the user manual here on page 91, I can take a look at some of the details here which specify what exactly I'm looking at. So the particular variable I want to take a look at is our joint angle. Now, looking at our joint angle, we can see that it's the 1/3 Euler representation of the joint angle vector xyz in degrees calculated using the Euler sequence zxy using the ISB base coordinate system. So now going back here, I know that each one of these columns is actually xyz of a particular joint angle. Now, which one? I may not be quite sure, but I'll go back into my user manual so I can go ahead and figure out which particular columns coordinate with which particular joint angles. So if I go ahead and take a look at this and go ahead and scroll down, I actually have a list of how the joints are ordered. And so I can see that the first one is JL5S1, and the second one is JL4L3, and going back into my Excel spreadsheet, now I know that this is the X vector for JL5S1, X JL5S1, Y JL5S1, and then Z JL5S1. This is great if I'm looking at just joint angles, but what if I wanted to look at other variables? Let's go back and take a look at our user manual and go ahead and scroll back up here. So let's say, for example, I was taking a look at position and not joint angles. So position here, the 1x3 position vector XYZ of the origin of the segment in the global frame. We know that the ordering of the positions will not correlate with the ordering of the joints. So you're not going to have the position of JL5S1, we're going to actually have the position of the segment. So looking at this, right, the first one is the pelvis, the second one is L5, the third one is L3, the fourth one is T12, so on and so forth. So you can see, depending on what type of data set you're looking at, you're going to get a different ordering of those different segments, trackers, or joints. So going back into our Excel spreadsheet, you can really see how you can customize this in any way, shape, or form you really need to accomplish your data analyses.